I actually like to listen to music while I need to focus because it makes me zero in on the task at hand and block out everything else. Like when I'm here at work, if I really have to focus, I put in my earbuds and it's not, I don't have it on real loud, but I do have music playing. So I don't know, my brain works better that way.
I definitely use apps. I have an app on my phone and on my iPad called Things. And it's basically just a long list of things to do. And I use it at work and I use it at home. And then I also sometimes listen to music. But it has to be the right type of music, because if it's music that I love and know the lyrics to, I'll just start listening to the music because it's so good. But it also can't be bad. So it has to be like okay music.
So I sort of go through a checklist of no opening email, no touching the internet, no answering my phone. I kind of put everything away and just mentally think about the task that I have at hand and just bang it out as fast as I can, because I know I only have a short amount of time that I'm going to be able to focus 100% on that.
Hi, welcome to Distraction. I'm Dr. Ned Hallowell. You just heard the voices of some people here at CRN talking about what they do to help them focus. So, if you haven't guessed already, today's show is focused on focus. You know, people ask me, how do I focus? I have attention deficit disorder. I write a lot of books. How do I focus on writing, or for that matter, focus on doing anything? Well, I've sort of come about it instinctively, intuitively. I got a head start because I was sent away to private schools, boarding school at the age of 10. And these schools were very, very structured. So I learned how to do things like make my bed and hand in my homework on time, because you had to do it. And, there was no question about it. So I developed habits early on in my life that helped me a lot. This was before I knew anything about ADD. But those schools that I went to, the highly structured boarding schools, really helped me very much. And then as an adult, there are other little tricks I use. Caffeine is my medication. The prescription stimulants don't work. I also, probably the two most important things, I married the right person and found the right job. But there are other tips and tricks that you can use, and one of them is that I use all the time when I'm writing involves music. And we're really lucky to have on the show today a genius, a true musical genius by the name of Will Henshall. He was a rock musician in Britain and then got into the science of sound, and developed an extraordinarily effective tool that he will tell you about. I don't want to steal his thunder, but I can tell you what he's got you need if you are someone who wants to focus while you work. And let me introduce my friend and musical sound genius, Will Henshall.
Hey, Ned. I'm absolutely delighted to talk with you. As always, you are one of the most inspiring humans I've ever met in my life.
Oh, thank you. So tell us about Focus at Will.
Focus at Will is a tool. It's a music service that helps you work better when you're at work. That's a sort of a double positive, I think. Working. So the reason why I started this is that I was in a band, London Beat, and I was the man behind the hit. Thinking About You and Come Back and a few other hits in the 90s. And after I did that, I got very interested in audio technology, and I created a company called Rocket Network. This is what I was doing before I'm doing what I am now. But part of that process had me working in an open office. I was working in an open plan office with a lot of people around me. And of course, when there's a lot of noise, the first thing you do is reach for the headphones. It's kind of intuitive, right? So if you are reaching for the headphones and figuring out what to listen, what you're doing is you're substituting one problem for another, which is, yes, I've successfully blocked out the sound and the noise and the stuff around me, and now I'm listening to the music. So because I'm a songwriter and I'm a radio singles, a hit record is where I've always been as a composer, I know about what elements make a song very catchy. I know about how to make a 3.5-minute song with 200 words be something that people want to sing along with. If I go, I've been thinking about you, I've been thinking about you, a lot of people will remember just that piece of the melody of that song, which was one of my songs that got #1 back in the day. So I discovered this, Ned. I discovered that people like to listen to music when they're working, but there is nothing really that works to listen to, because all music, if it's popular, is designed to have you listen to it. Mm-hmm. I talked to a lot of scientists, including you, very much so, and said, what is there about the non-conscious mind? So there are kind of two ways of describing your attention, right? You've got your internal or your endogenous attention, then you've got your external or your exogenous attention. Mm-hmm. And when you're trying to do something, your internal attention is focused on the task you're working on. Mm-hmm. External attention allows you to work on the task you're working on. In other words, if Ned, if you and I are in a cave right now, drinking a cave beer, painting on the cave wall, right? Our internal attention is focusing on the mastodon or whatever we're drawing on the cave wall. And both of our external attentions is going to be paying attention to what's happening outside the cave. So it was a number of conversations with brilliant scientists, and particularly, Ned, I have to say I'm really honored to be here with you today, because it was a conversation I had with you that had me going, whoa. You were talking to me about how people with ADD, you can use stimulants to calm the brain down because their brain is underclocking and needs to be clocked faster. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of summarizing, I think.
Yeah, sure.
That's about right?
Yeah.
And I realized that music has the ability to clock your brain, of course, because in the military, the foot soldiers march to the band. We are used to dancing to the music. And so I started experimenting with intensities of instrumental music. And we found that it is possible to help the brain march in time by playing your external attention specific types of music. And that is how Focus at Will came about. And the big aha moment came when I realized everybody's brain type is different. And what will work well for one person, talking about what kind of music will help them focus when they're working, is completely different to another person. And the amount of sort of audio energy in the music stream has a direct bearing on how easily distracted someone is. So I'll just finish this little segment by me saying, we found that counterintuitively, the more easily distracted someone is, the more stuff they need in their sound system to listen to. So if you're sort of intuitively thinking, oh, my son, he's really crazy and hyper, I want to play him some gentle classical music to have him relax and just have him concentrate. No, it's the opposite. You need to play him some crazy techno, some really noisy music, and that will help him relax and be able to work.
It's so wonderful. And the basic principle behind it, I discovered intuitively many years ago, because I do all my writing listening to music with headphones. And what it does, people think, isn't that distracting? No, it engages that part of my brain that would otherwise be distracting me, the internal chatter. And by playing music, it engages that part of my brain that would otherwise be distracting me, so I can focus on my writing. And then you came along and took it a quantum level higher, because you developed music with the interesting parts taken out. So in other words, the part of my brain that might actually get caught up in the music and take me away from my work, you filtered that out. So while Beethoven and Mozart might hate you, I love you, because now I do all my writing listening to Focus at Will. By the way, you just go to Focus at Will, FOCUSATWILL.com, and you can sign up. And it's an incredible breakthrough. I've had patients unable to write papers, writing papers. I've had people just able to focus on things they just couldn't focus on before. But now you have a new breakthrough. Now you've developed a test, because if you go to Focus at Will, you'll see that Will has a number of different genres that you can listen to, from the jazz to classical to, he's got like 8 or 10 different genres. But you have a test that a person can take to see which one is best suited to them, correct?
Yes, this is a science-based test. The single question that people ask us is, hey, how do I know which type will work best for me?
Right.
Because this is about the kind of music you like. If you like, classic rock, that is going to be a very bad choice for you while you're working. Just must say, we have no jazz on the system.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. A lot of people say, I like to listen to jazz. The reason why jazz doesn't work, just jump in on this, is that your exogenous, your external attention is hardwired to take note of the human voice because of, if you hear a voice behind you, is it danger or reward? Jazz has a lot of saxophones and trumpets in them that are designed to sound like a human voice. Jazz is as distracting as any other kind of music.
By that you mean engaging, right?
Of course, excuse me. That's why Miles Davis is so famous.
Right.
He's singing with his trumpet. To come back to your point here is, how do I know what kind of music works for us? We did a survey to try and get people into a research project. We started with 25,000 people, and we ended up with 2,500 people in a research project. These were users of the system, very heavy users of the system, and we have a lot of data on which types of music, which exact tracks they listen to when. We then put these people through quite a detailed, about an hour and a half psychological test based around the Big Five, basically, which is a way of psychologically profiling people.
What's the Big Five?
The Big Five, I should be asking you that question, shouldn't I? The Big Five is a standard way of profiling people based on your how open or not you are.
Oh, okay.
So what we then did was we looked at that data on these 2,500 people and figured out, is there a correlation between your personality type and the music type, the music genre? Should it be classical or should it be trance electronica? And we found there is. There is a strong correlation between those two things. There's a quiz. Actually, if you just go to the website, you can see it. There's a quiz that asks you 15 questions, and it has an 80% accuracy of predicting which kind of music will work best for you.
Wow. So just go to focus@will.com and you can take the quiz, right?
The crazy thing about this, Ned, is obviously one of the about 5% of the Focus at Will user base, which is over 1 million people now, listen to our ADHD channel, which is a very aggressive form of electronic techno music.
Yeah.
If you have a certain personality type, you answer this test, it will recommend the ADHD channel. And people write me and they say, listen, I took this test and it tells me that I should listen to the ADHD channel. And I don't like it and I'm not ADHD, but this channel works really well for me.
Exactly. Well, Sarah, our producer, had some people here take the quiz and they all came out with different results. Sarah, can you weigh in on some of what you found?
I think I'd have to come into the studio.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, come on in. Sarah is our wonderful producer who is always coming up with new ideas. And okay, so Sarah, tell Will and me about your experiment here with the folks at CRN.
Well, I tried it. I went through the questions, and it was very interesting. And then I went around the office and asked probably about half a dozen people. But yeah, it was just interesting to see people go through it, and they all seem to really like the music and want to try it once they went through it. But ironically, a couple of people said that they actually listen to music when they try to do something to focus. And I know, Ned, you had said you did that, but people were saying like just regular music. Is that typical, Will?
Yeah. I should first of all say that we have found statistically, and as I said, we're well over 1 million users now. We found that about 1 person in 3 can't listen to music of any kind. It doesn't make any difference, doesn't work. Either doesn't work or it doesn't make any difference. So the system does work for 2 people out of 3. If people get a sense that they can listen to regular music, it could be anything from the Beatles to Bartok to Eminem, they will find that they are still being slightly distracted by the words and the songs. And we were talking earlier on about how we edit out the interesting bits.
Right.
We don't edit out all of the interesting bits. And this is where the core technology, we use machine learning and a bunch of other geeky stuff on our back end. We have found you have to reduce the engaging bits or the interesting bits of the tracks that are in our system. Everything is remixed and remastered and re-edited. But if you take out all of the interesting bits, the system doesn't work. You start ignoring it. It's an interesting balance of just removing enough of the highly engaging pieces, the violins that go da-da-da-da. We take that out. Yeah. And then, but Sarah, can I ask you, what was your channel? What did it recommend for you?
Classical piano.
Well,
am I worried? I said, what does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything. It just means that your brain type, the way that you think, the way your brain process works, has been shown by large data to be most likely impacted by classical piano, which is very rhythmic. It's very quiet. It's very ordered. It's very structured. It goes, you know.
It sounded really nice when I played it.
Right.
Well, I'm going to go take this test as soon as we end, and I'll report before we air the podcast which type I fit into. So it's not the type you like. So I like classical music, so that probably won't be the type that although that's what I usually do listen to when I write. So
Ed, I've got to say, I think that you're an outlier. It depends. It's something interesting we've found that if someone is on ADHD medication, their choices of what channel works for them changes. Yeah,
I bet it does. I don't take medication, so I'm not in that category. But it would make sense that it would change. I just can't, those of you who are listening, if this is new to you, and it is probably to many of you, if not most of you, I can't tell you what a huge breakthrough this is. Practically speaking, I have seen people who literally could not write. When they put on the headphones and listen to Focus at Will, they're able to do tasks that require concentration that they simply had not been able to do before. And I now write all my books listening to Focus at Will. It's an amazing tool. And, this is very, as he says, geeky. This is very high-tech science and really a beautiful application of sound science at its absolute highest level.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's so true. Will, thank you so much for joining us. It's so great to reconnect with you, and I hope all the listeners will go to focusatwill.com and take the test and make listening to Focus at Will music part of your work experience.
Yeah, we like to say, find your happy place at work using music.
Ah, that's lovely. Thanks a million, Will. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so on that note, let's go to the audio of the people here talking about the focus quiz.
I see myself as someone who has an active imagination. Bingo, agree strongly.
I see myself as someone who is reserved. Wow, we're getting deep.
I see myself as someone who tends to be lazy. I strongly disagree. We really don't need anything from the peanut gallery.
Lazy.
I am not lazy!
I guess this test probably shouldn't be this hard. Maybe I need to think about myself some more.
No. I see myself as someone who has an active imagination. Ugh. I guess agree.
Ooh, captious, fault finding. That's one of my favorite words. Am I getting distracted? Maybe I need to go back a couple of questions.
I like everything from Barbra Streisand to Eminem.
Have you ever been diagnosed with ADD or ADHD? No.
Do the listeners want to know? I don't know.
Oh, boy.
How many times a day do you take stimulants such as caffeine, chocolate, or other substances? None. I don't drink coffee.
I don't drink coffee, but I have chocolate, so I guess, one time a day.
Yeah, I agree strongly with that one. Okay, the brain is twirling. Let's see. Oh.
It says that my focus profile predicts the cinematic can increase my work productivity up to 4%.
Classic piano?
That's what I got.
Well, that's very interesting. And I went ahead and took the quiz myself. And it came out that the kind of music I should listen to is classical piano. I believe Sarah got the same one, and we're very different people, but we turns out, according to the quiz, that's the music we should listen to enhance focus. You know, focus is really a key ingredient to doing anything. Everything you do gets better when you focus, and everything you do gets worse when you lose focus. And since we live in the age of distraction, I don't think anyone would argue with that, it's imperative, it's incredibly important, now more than any other era in history, to learn how to focus, to create boundaries, to learn the little tricks that will help you maintain and reclaim that wonderfully clear-headed state of mental acuity that we call focus. All right, could you please take a moment and fill out our listener survey? We really need feedback from you all. We're trying to learn more about you, our listeners, and it would really help the show if you went to distractionpodcast.com and click on the blue words in the upper right-hand corner that say Take Listener Survey. Thank you so much. Distraction is produced by Collisions, the podcast division of CRN International. Collisions, podcasts for curious people. Our original music theme was created by Mark Berman. Our sound engineer is the incredibly skillful Scott Person. And our producer is the delightful and talented Sarah Gerton.